Max's eyes are open. Repeat. Max's eyes are open. This is not a drill, Stranger Things fans. We just got the first look at Volume 2 of Season 5, and one image confirms the moment we've been waiting for. But the questions these photos raise are way scarier than the answers they give. Look at this. The Max and Lucas posters? They weren't a tease, they were a roadmap. But the biggest leak is the shot of 11 in the sensory deprivation tank. Where is she searching? Why is it suddenly a different location? Get ready. We're breaking down every frame of the final chapter. Like the video, subscribe right now, because this is the explanation that connects everything. Let's jump in. You know what's funny? Ever since Volume 1 dropped, I've basically lived inside Stranger Things theories. I mean, I've done so many breakdowns that sometimes even I forget what I predicted and what was actually in the show. But the crazy part? Most of the points we talked about, Episode 5, Episode 6, Episode 7, the finale, they're still lining up almost perfectly. And back then, we had nothing official. No posters, no proper images, just vibes and detective work. But now, finally, Volume 2 has started speaking. Quietly, but officially. And the first thing they've dropped? Posters. Not just random ones. These things literally connect like puzzle pieces. They look individual, but trust me, they're part of a bigger picture. If you're watching the screen right now, you already see the first one sliding in. Yup, Max. Our girl is front and center again, rocking the same look we saw in Volume 1. Now, before I go deeper into this, let me tell you something I've noticed. And honestly, the entire fandom has been pointing this out. These posters? The characters are basically wearing the exact clothes they had in Volume 1. Not because Netflix is saving wardrobe budget, but because the entire Season 5 timeline, at least the main events, is set in just 3 days. 3 days. That's wild. The story picks up literally on the same day Volume 1 ended. No big time jump in between. Maybe we'll get a mini jump in the finale, like a year later or something. But the core of the season? It's happening fast. Super fast. Now, let me talk about the poster that grabbed me the most. Max's. Bro. Seeing her finally get her own individual poster again after everything that happened in Vecna's mindscape. It hits different. And here's the thing. The poster low-key reveals more than Netflix probably intended. Look closely. She's wearing what looks like the same outfit from the mindscape. But the way they've placed her, the environment, the characters around her, it's framed like she's back in the real world. On her left, you can clearly recognize Dustin holding a radio. On her right, Lucas. And when you see the connected version of the poster, Max and Lucas are literally holding hands. Now, Stranger Things posters are notorious for these sneaky little hints. They never do anything accidentally. And this one? This is basically a soft confirmation that Max returns, and not in the final episode, but early in Volume 2. They're teasing her waking up, not hiding it anymore. And honestly, as someone who's made too many emotional edits of Lucas and Max, don't judge me. Seeing that tiny detail hit me harder than expected. Alright, let's slide over to the next poster. And this one belongs to the OG powerhouse herself, 11. The first thing that jumps out? That nosebleed. Classic 11. But here, it doesn't feel symbolic, it feels like a warning. Like she's pushing her powers harder than she has in a long time. And honestly, that's exactly what I want from Volume 2. Give her space. Give her action. Give her those everyone move, I'll handle this moments. Volume 1 had action, sure, but a lot of it got overshadowed by Will's storyline and everything happening with the others. This time, I'm hoping she gets the spotlight she deserves. Now, right next to her, literally connected in the poster, is Will. If you look closely, 11 even has her hand on his shoulder, almost like a protective gesture, or a we got this together moment. And considering what went down at the end of Volume 1, yeah, Will earning this position makes total sense. This is the guy everyone's talking about. The twist, the shock, the holy crap, Will has powers moment. Borrowed powers, shared powers, hive mind powers, call it what you want. The point is, Will is not the same Will anymore. The poster even reflects that. The shirt with those marks, the serious expression, the way he's standing like he's finally centered, after everything he's been through. What I'm dying to see in Volume 2 is how the group reacts. Mike saw it happen, but Dustin didn't. Lucas didn't. Most of the group wasn't even present when Will tapped into that ability. Joyce witnessed it, sure, but the fallout of that moment? The conversations, the questions, the suspicion, the fear, man. That's going to be fascinating. And speaking of Mike, his poster's in the lineup too. He's wearing that military-style outfit we saw in episode 1 during their mission. So yeah, he's actually one of the only characters whose outfit changes for Volume 2. He returns in that same tactical look, completing the trio visually: 11, Will, Mike. It's almost symbolic. 11 in the middle, Will with this new power, and Mike caught in between them emotionally and narratively. And here's something subtle but important. 11's hand on Will's shoulder. It signals unity, partnership, maybe even responsibility. Because now Will's connection to the hive mind is a blessing and a threat. Sure, it can help them. But if Vecna taps into that link, it could turn into the biggest vulnerability this group has ever had. Now listen to something really important, guys. You keep asking me again and again, bro, where are the leaks? These are just theories, and there's a huge reason behind that. Last year, I posted actual Stranger Things leaks, real stuff, and those videos blew up. They got amazing views. But then strikes hit my channel, one after another. And for a YouTuber, the channel isn't just a page, it's everything. It's years of hard work, sleepless nights, it's my dreams, my only source of income. You all know how brutal a single strike can feel. It's like someone ripping a piece of your heart out. That's why I barely use leaked images anymore. Even when I share leaked info, I wrap it up as a theory so my channel stays safe. If you've been following me from the beginning, you already know. During Volume 1, almost everything we said turned out to be spot on, scary, accurate. I'm not doing this for clout. I'm doing it because I love this show as much as you do, and I'm trying to protect the one thing that lets me keep talking to you guys every day. So yeah, I hope this finally answers the question you've all been asking me 100 times. I really needed to get this off my chest. Thank you for sticking with me. It means the world. Now, moving down the lineup, we get the next trio, Nancy on one side, Steve in the middle, and Jonathan on the other. And there's one detail that instantly caught my eye. Jonathan's hand resting on Nancy's shoulder. It's such a small gesture, but it says a lot. Because all the big lab scenes, the explosions, the sky tearing open, the chaos breaking loose, those moments involve these two together. When you look at the poster, it almost has this quiet, final chapter energy, not confirmed, obviously, but it feels like a farewell shot. The positioning, the expressions, there's definitely some emotional storytelling happening there. But alright, posters aside, let's get to the part everyone's been waiting for. The actual images from Volume 2. The first official stills. And these didn't come from Netflix, but from SFX Magazine, one of the major outlets that always gets early access to exclusive material. They dropped a brand new cover last week, and inside the issue were a few Volume 2 stills. Not full quality, but clear enough to break down, and I want to start with this one. Remember at the very beginning of the video, when I mentioned we might get a scene of Max waking up? Well, this image is the first real clue. It's a behind-the-scenes shot from Volume 2, Max in the hospital bed. But the vibe of the room? Completely different from the earlier scenes. The lighting is darker, like a single beam of sunlight, or maybe artificial light, is hitting her bed. And she's alone. No Lucas, no nurses hovering around. Just Max in a quiet, empty room. And that's interesting. Because why would they record a separate shot of her lying alone unless something important happens? She's in a coma, so the only solo moment that would require a close-up is her waking up. If you zoom into the monitor where the camera feed is displayed, it's pretty clear. The camera is slowly creeping toward her face. Classic cinematic language for waking eyes, a blink, a gasp, something shifting inside her. It looks exactly like the setup for that moment. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait, didn't you say Max is taken to WSQK after the demo dog's attack? And that we've already seen leaked images of her still in a coma there? Yes, and that's the confusing part. We don't actually know where she wakes up. This hospital room could be a different location entirely. Maybe she's transferred. Maybe this shot comes before WSQK. Or, and this is important, maybe she doesn't wake up fully. Maybe this is just the beginning. A twitch of her fingers, a shift in her breathing, subtle signs her body is responding again. Enough for Lucas to notice when he rushes in later. Those small movements could be what leads into the demo dog attack sequence. There are multiple ways this scene can fit, but all of them point in one direction. Max is coming back, and Volume 2 is not hiding it anymore. Alright, moving forward, let's talk about that poster of Mr. Watson. one of Vecna's identities. And bro, this one hits different. The caption already tells us it's his mindscape form, but look at the vibe. Heavy rain pouring down, hat soaked, coat drenched, and a face that basically says, "I'm done being polite." This doesn't feel like that calm, manipulative version of him. Nope, this looks like the point where the mask has dropped. Maybe he's realized Holly is with Max, and now the tension has snapped. In my head, this scene has two possible meanings. Option 1. It's all inside his mindscape, and he's the one creating the storm. Like, he literally summons the rain to intensify the fear while hunting Holly. If you're still here, it means you didn't just watch. You truly enjoyed this video. So please, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Every click, every sub, keeps me motivated to work harder and bring you the very best content. Your support means the world to me. Let's keep this journey going together. Option 2. He's staring at a memory, something iconic that originally happened in the rain. And because this is the mindscape, he's basically reliving it in front of himself. And that connects perfectly to the cave. The cave symbolizes his childhood trauma. The moment he first touched Dimension X, the moment everything changed. We saw the cave in daylight in Season 5, but in the first shadow play, the actual incident happens at night. So this rainy shot might be him revisiting that moment, the origin point of his powers and his fear. And while we're on this Holly Max Vecna Mindscape storyline, let's jump to the next behind-the-scenes shot. This one is wild. We see Holly and Max standing in front of a massive blue screen, clearly meant for CGI, and the way they're reacting? It looks like they're facing a portal, like a door out of his mindscape finally opening. Remember that whole Holly might be the chosen one idea? Mike literally hands her the doll and tells her she's the one who can cast spells and open portals. So if
Anyone's opening that exit, it's her. This image really feels like that moment. Portal opening, escape starting, CGI missing, but the intention is all there. Alright, let's keep going, because the magazine dropped even more shots, and these reveal exactly what happens right after Volume 1 cuts to black. We start with the scene immediately following Will's power blast. Demogorgon's wiped out, smoke still settling, and instead of celebrating, the trio suddenly freezes. All three stare upward at something we can't see. Their meeting stops mid-conversation. Nobody's panicking, but everyone's locked in on this one moment. Monster? Light? A threat? We honestly can't tell, but this feels like Episode 5 territory for sure. And speaking of staring upward, there's another shot. This time Will, Robin, and Lucas together, all looking straight up at something massive. But here it's pretty clear. They're in the WSQK zone, which means the only tall landmark around them is the radio tower. This lines up perfectly with that July teaser, the particles of the mising around the tower like a storm. And since Will is even wearing the same outfit that he's wearing in the Run shot we've already seen, this might actually be the moment he screams that line. Lucas matches too. Same blue shirt from the hospital scene where he saves Max and brings her to WSQK. So this is likely Episode 6 or later, right after the whole Camazot's escape plot. The sequence that should finally lead Max toward waking up. Now, shifting to someone who always brings the fireworks, 11. We get a brand new image of her in sensory deprivation mode, but not in a tub this time. She's inside the WSQK radio station booth, fully focused, hands out, using her powers while surrounded by equipment. And this is where it gets interesting. This season keeps hinting at radio waves, transmitters, and connections. And here, 11 is literally in the perfect spot to amplify her own abilities. Think about Lucas's little radio during the Demodog hospital attack. What if that device isn't meant to play running up that hill at all? What if it's actually boosting 11's signal from WSQK straight into Max's mindscape? Makes total sense. 11 links from the booth. The radio acts as a receiver. Max hears her, and boom, escape becomes possible. Or we might be looking at something even bigger. Something not related to Max at all. This could be 11's first direct move against Vecna in the mindscape. The shot leaves a lot open, but if I had to bet, this feels like Episode 6 or 7. Definitely not Episode 5. Anyway, tell me what you think these scenes are building toward. Alright, let's kick this off with the big one. The theory that's keeping me up at night. A ton of fans are convinced that Jonathan won't die, but that Steve is the one heading straight to death. And honestly, it feels inevitable at this point. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This makes some brutal sense. Remember that heart-wrenching image from the trailers where we see the kids all hugging it out? Steve is nowhere to be seen. Like poof, gone. Where is he? I have to stress here that this isn't conclusive proof of anything, because let's be real, I don't think Steve would be crashing that group hug right next to Jonathan anyway. But man, what's really got me worried and what seriously suggests Steve might not survive those intense Hawkins lab scenes in Volume 2 is that this guy straight up doesn't appear in any of the later shots we've glimpsed. Let's rewind a bit to set the stage. From everything we've pieced together, Dustin, Steve, Jonathan, and Nancy are the core squad spending the most time in the Upside Down this volume. High stakes, right? So there's a solid chance that this emotional group hug is happening near the end of the series, maybe after some massive showdown. And thanks to those sneaky trailers, we know they're gonna hit up Hawkins' lab and stumble upon this insane wormhole or interdimensional rift, whatever you want to call it, that looks like it's on the verge of total collapse. The vines are twisting, the air's crackling with that red lightning, and it feels like the whole dimension is about to implode. And this is where the most gut-punching theory drops. A bunch of fans are betting that right here, in this chaotic mess, Steve sacrifices himself so his friends can escape. I mean, come on, Steve's always been the protector, the babysitter, the guy who dives in head first. It fits his arc too perfectly, and that's what hurts. But believe it or not, this theory gets even stronger when you zoom in on those apparently later scenes. We've got shots of Nancy, Jonathan, and Dustin up on this creepy tower that screams upside-down version of Dio Tower, overgrown with those gross tentacles, flickering lights in the distance. And guess who's missing? No trace of Steve. Zero. It's like he vanished into thin air. And if all that doesn't convince you, buckle up because it's about to get way worse. The evidence feels undeniable at this point. Steve just doesn't show up in any of those later group moments with Nancy, Jonathan, and Dustin's crew. He straight up disappears from the frame. In one particular shot, we see Nancy huddled with Jonathan and someone swinging this massive axe. Looks intense, right? But hold up, that axe wielder isn't Steve. Nope. The coat, yeah, it's a full-on coat, not Steve's signature jacket, matches Dustin's vibe perfectly. The color's off, the fit's bulkier. It's Dustin, no doubt. And speaking of misdirections, in another frame from that tower sequence, we spot this figure arriving at the base, climbing up or something. At first glance, yeah, a lot of people screamed Steve. But zoom in, folks, those jeans are dark blue, exactly like Jonathan's. Steve's are always that lighter wash, more casual, and don't get me started on the shoes. Steve's got those iconic Nike kicks with the swoosh popping off, but this person's footwear? Simpler, plainer, classic white Converse, just like Jonathan rocks in every scene. We even get a clear comparison shot earlier in the season. It lines up way more with Jonathan than Steve, so for everyone hoping Steve tags along on this radio tower mission, apparently, no dice. There's no sign of him anywhere. That's why I'm saying the odds are stacking up hard. That emotional hug between Dustin and Steve in the trailers? It hits different now. It feels like a straight-up goodbye. Look closely behind Steve in that shot. Those metallic walls are melting, warping like some quantum instability is ripping everything apart. The ground's cracking, the rift's pulsing, it's chaos. Horrible theory, I know. I don't want to believe it, but the possibilities are there. They're screaming at us. And let's not forget, Steve's got the most to lose here. His arc's been building to this, from King of Hawkins High to the ultimate hero dad figure. On top of that, we gotta talk about the ring. Yeah, that ring. We know Jonathan's gearing up to propose to Nancy. The trailers are dripping with hints, the stolen glances, the tension. If Nancy says yes, where does that leave Steve? In the way, that's where. He's the third wheel in this love triangle that's been simmering since season 1. Sacrificing himself would tie it all up neatly, heartbreakingly neatly. Here, I've laid out some rock-solid points that Steve might not make it. But tell me in the comments, do you agree? I don't want to believe it, but the evidence is piling up like upside-down vines. Drop your thoughts below. Would you riot if Steve bites it? And that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. If you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to drop a like, share it with your friends and fellow Stranger Things fans, and hit that subscribe button. Plus, ring the bell so you never miss an update from it. Thanks so much for watching. You guys are the best, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Stay strange, and peace out.